able to find the spy within her organization and fired her.
Yeah, like I said, the Congress had, the Democrats in Congress have a list that they share because they all know that they are being targeted by Project Veritas. And in this case, they were able to catch the person who had come in as an intern to work in the office. In Michigan, the expose that Project Veritas did and a video that they put out resulted in a lawsuit. The Federation, Teachers Federation there has been suing Project Veritas for a variety of crimes under the notion that this had been a spying operation, not some disgruntled whistleblower. And that's often what Veritas presents itself as, an organization that gets whistleblowers from the inside. In fact, what they're often doing is seeding people in under false pretenses and then exfiltrating data and information.
They also succeeded in getting a ABC reporter suspended. David, right? You used to work for ABC.
I used to work for ABC. And again, I think the ABC case is actually a fantastic example of what they do. They got a reporter to give his personal opinions, who makes a statement and qualifies what he's about to say as not in his professional capacity, but in his personal capacity, and then blast it out as liberal bias in media. And
talking about Medicare for all.
Yeah, I mean, it was absurd. But the one thing that needs to be I need to mention here about Project Veritas is that
where it's the right time to do a great thing. If you're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect timing, it's not going to happen. You know what you have to do? You have to create the perfect time and the perfect opportunity and the perfect situation.
So that a lot of people become comfortable. They stop growing. They stop wanting anything. They become satisfied. People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like, jobs that are making them sick. You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you have. When the messenger of misery visits you, what are you going to do? What will keep you in the game?
Good afternoon, Rochester. You are listening to Rising Up Recovery on 100.9 WXIR. We discuss recovery and addiction within Rochester and invite guests from the community to share their experiences, insight, and knowledge of the drug epidemic and how to combat it. I'm Jake Bishop, joined by Tony Gingello, Danny Hefner, and we have a great guest in today, Deputy Favata of the Opioid Task Force. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. You picked a good day.
Yes.
We were trying to line up your schedule for a little bit, and we finally picked out like 65 degrees.
We could have done this outside today.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking a little bit about the Opioid Task Force, and for people listening in the community, what do you guys do out there?
So the task force, I'll explain, is three parts. We have enforcement, which law enforcement's done since the beginning of time, right? We go after drug dealers, people at the time. Anybody using drugs had drugs on them. It didn't matter. We arrested everybody. We also have education and outreach. Yeah, the education part is we go to majority of the high schools throughout the entire Monroe County, and we go into the health classes. It's a presentation that we put together. It shows body cam footage of an overdose, a lot of pictures of fatal overdoses. We let the kids see what the inside of these homes look like. What the drug paraphernalia looks like, just so, again, they come across this, they know better not to touch it. They know how to identify it. They can tell if it's a mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever it is. Maybe it's a friend using it, and they, all of a sudden, wait a minute, I saw that bag at, my friend John Smith's house. And the best part about that is I explain to them that we're here to help you. Doesn't matter, no questions asked. You go to a prevention counselor and say, you want to speak with me? I'll either meet you on school grounds or off school grounds. It's not documented, not going to, call mom, dad, or if there's an issue that you're having, whether it be you or somebody else, let us fix it. Let us get involved. So one of the schools that we I did the presentation at, I had 2 students reach out to me shortly after I left. We met with those students, and you look at how well they improved once we got involved with them. One of them was for a brother, the other one was for a guardian. So it works, so those are two lives that we had changed.
Why the shift in strategy, though, from the enforcement to the education with that part?
Supply and demand, right? If we can curb the demand, the supply won't matter. I mean, think about how long have we been arresting drug dealers, right? Forever. Where are we now? We're losing over 100 people every year. We were close. We were over 200 the year prior. I think it was 2018. So you think about, obviously arresting the drug dealers isn't making that big of a difference. It's holding people accountable, but there's only so much we can do. But we start hitting the masses, the people who are battling addiction, and clean that up, get them help. What's it matter about the supply? Who cares? Let's get that. And you think about, as we were talking earlier, the harm reduction that you're doing in the community as a whole. You're bringing families back together. You think of the domestic issues that happen. You talk about the kids who are seeing mom, dad fighting over one of the two abusing whatever type of drug it is, or the mom and dad fighting over their one of their kids, unfortunate choices that they're, bringing into the household, the overdoses. You think of the overdoses we go to when there's a young kid there or an older sibling, and you look at a family falling apart. So we look at it, we have the opportunity to go in there and intervene and change people's lives. And that's exactly what we're doing. So to us, it was a no-brainer. I mean, Sheriff Baxter really put it in front of us and said, I don't care how you guys do it. Let's build a task force that saves lives, because we need to stop this bleeding. Let's get a tourniquet on this thing and figure out what we're doing. Let's, slow it down and then figure out what's causing it. And we're getting there.
How were you chosen for this then?
I don't know. I have
You
no
got a
idea.
heart, I
Just
can tell.
here we are. It's I don't know if you saw the press conference we did, the 2-year press conference on Thursday.
I did.
And what's unique about that is we had just a handful of partners in that room, and there's no way we'd be even remotely close as successful as we are without people like you guys putting the message out there. Your Rebecca Bakers, your Recovery Fitness, Huther Doyle. I mean, I have peers that come out with me. Look at Katie Becker from Recovery Support Navigators. She's come out on ride-alongs with me, and I get that sheet every morning at 9:45 of every overdose that happened in the county the day before or that night, and we go out and try to find those people and sit there and sometimes they want nothing to do with us. Beat it. Okay, I get it. But we're coming back. We're going to do a follow-up probably in a couple of days. Or somebody's like, okay, I don't want to go, but give me the resources, give me the number. And that's where Katie comes in.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So now Katie can exchange that information. Now here's Katie who has walked in those shoes. They're looking at me, here's a cop. Unsure. I don't know nor do I care what they did the day before. They may be thinking I'm there because maybe they did commit a crime and they think I'm, trying to bait them into something. It's not the case. More times than not, that's what I heard. Or I thought you were here for my warrant, or, what's the warrant for? Petty larceny? Psh, don't care. Your life is more important than, what you stole from the mall right now. We'll address this later. Just think about it. What good is that warrant? I'm going to give you the appearance ticket and you're going to go right back out there.
Right.
What difference does that make?
Exactly.
So, it's having the ability to have that discretion. Maybe somebody deserves to be in jail because that's where they're going to get the help. Because we have a fantastic MAP program in there that's giving them counseling, it's giving their medications, and it's a secure area that they can get clean. And now their family doesn't have to worry about it. We're not just holding them in there with no treatment to say, here, get out, good luck. We're working on getting them help after they're incarcerated. You think how important that is?
I got to give a quick shout out to the STAR program too.
Yeah,
I was over at Rochester Works the other day, stopped in to go talk to everybody over there, and they had a bunch of guys. It must have been like 10, 15 guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
Let's talk about what Rochester Work does. So Clark Rodman and I from Rochester Works, we were at Norris for a while, basically meet with all their groups. and give them the packet. Say, look, we'll help you write your resumes. We'll teach you how to submit these resumes. We'll work on your interview skills. We have money set aside for clothes for you. We want to see people set up for success, and not, okay, listen, you did all this treatment. You've been clean for 30, 60, 90 days. You're ready to go on your own. Now what are we doing? We slap on the butt. Hey, good luck. You're not going to do. I mean, what good is that? So you got to think about, let's get these people back on track again to be a productive member of society, which in return is going to be fulfilling to them and help them stay away from where they were before. I mean, it's a lot of the things that we're doing is common sense. It's just amazing me no one's done it before.
When you say it so plainly, it makes perfect sense just listening to it.
Yeah.
How do other cops feel about this program? Has it been helpful?
It's coming around. Yes, it's there is a lot of police when I see the reports. Cops have given, we have pamphlets on all of our cars that they can give to the family. So if there's an overdose, they can give a pamphlet to the family member and say, look, here's all the resources that we work with. These are the ones that we know do a good job. They follow up. They do what's right. Here it is. And I'm going to follow up anyway. So I'm going to be showing up there within 24 hours, depending if that's where that person, again, there's a difference between where they overdosed and where they reside. Okay. They may have been at a friend's house. They may have been in their vehicle driving down the road and used. I mean, how many accidents have we had? I mean, Lyle Avenue at Lee Road there just the other day, into the side of the old vape shop there. Here's an example of, a person who.
Oh, that's right. That was on Facebook.
Yep. Yeah. Purchased and crashed. We had a gentleman that he hit the guardrails on Esmer, or on 531 getting off at Elm Grove, and he had overdosed in the car. They gave him Narcan, brought him to the hospital. When he was in the hospital, he decided he wanted to leave. And they found him at the corner of the street up by that Philly Stakeout, Ridgeway and Long Pond. He had overdosed there. So here's a guy who walked up the street, overdosed again. It's that's scary.
I bring that up all the time. Yeah. I mean, it's very frustrating to see these people overdose, go into the hospital, and be released with no ramifications whatsoever. I'm not talking ramifications as in put them in jail and let them sit there. I'm talking ramifications as actually give them help, right? And I don't think we do a good job of that at all, actually. There's no follow through. There's no follow up in hospitals. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. The Narcan's bring that drug to zero, right? In their system, they're going to go back out and use twice as much as they just did to overdose. Of course, they're going to overdose again, right?
Sure.
So how do we fix that?
Well, that's a program we actually started working on with Dr. Cushman. So actually on Thursday, I'll be meeting with the nurses from the U of R, and we're going to talk about a way to get these people into my hands at discharge. We did it last Friday, 5 o'clock, patient went in. It was a second overdose in 48 hours. And I got the call, and we placed him in treatment out in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania sent a vehicle here to pick him up, brought him right out there. It can work, but understand is that, and I'm not taking it, I'm not blowing anybody's horn. If somebody screws up, we'll call them out. But to their face, we don't do it publicly. But I'll tell you this, what the emergency rooms are doing is fantastic, because they do a lot of great work. But think about it. If somebody doesn't want their help, what are they supposed to do?
Nothing.
There's no difference between me in a uniform offering somebody help and the doctors offering somebody help. If they say, look, I want to get the hell out of here, there's nothing these nurses or doctors can do.
So I'm sorry. What I'd like to say though is, isn't that kind of their harm to themselves though? It's inevitably almost like assisted suicide, technically. I mean, not in reality, but it is, right?
Sure.
Because I mean, you're letting somebody go out to do harm to their own selves, which, if someone was to go up to, anywhere, any hospital, and say they're going to kill themselves, what are they doing? They're not going to be allowed to leave, right?
No. I'm going to tell you what happens with a mental health arrest, okay? So I've mental health arrested the same person in a shift in 8 hours when I worked the road. Brought him in at 10 o'clock for a suicide attempt, and then brought him back at 5 o'clock for another suicide attempt. Just because somebody says they're committing suicide and I write everything that they did on that piece of paper, once those doctors determine and that person says the right things, they cannot hold that person any longer. And it goes the same as an overdose. An overdose is a mental health arrest. Mental hygiene is what it is. So we arrest them under the mental health law, bring them to the hospital, hand them off, and out we go. If they're clear, their pulse, heart rate, everything's good, and they're not showing sign of going back into an overdose, if they don't want any more treatment, off they go. So, there's a big misconception of what the hospitals are doing. Do they need to work on it? Absolutely. They wholeheartedly admit it, but they got to come up with something that works. We're just not going to throw poop against the wall and say, these are lives. It's not like we're testing, a car here, or, going out in a new, for the 2021, model of this type of product where we can make mistakes.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike.
Sure.
You were talking a little bit before the show started about the HOPE program, right?
Correct.
What's to say, or why haven't, or I don't know if you have tried to do this, but why haven't you tried to implement this in overdose, cases, right? Because you said your mental hygiene arrested them. I don't know if that is the same as a normal arrest.
No, it's not even close. It
So-
doesn't go on your record.
So there's no way for you to force an implementation of a HOPE program or something like that, right?
No, I mean, even if here's the thing is we're not arresting people. Let's say there's drugs found in the car. People are not getting arrested during an overdose for what's left of those narcotics. We're not doing it. And it also comes into the Good Samaritan law. We cannot stress that enough. More times than not, people are not calling when somebody overdoses because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble. It's not going to happen. The Good Samaritan law protects them. Even if we wanted to arrest somebody for being in that house, we're not going to do it. We can't. So people need to understand if somebody overdoses, you need to call right away. There's a woman from Livingston County. I went and listened to her speak, and she shows the pictures of her son. Her son overdosed at a house party. There's about 15 people in the home. Nobody called. This kid sat there for 45 minutes unconscious. Ended up with severe brain damage. He was in a wheelchair. Mom would feed him every day. He passed away from that about 2 years after. But nobody called until I think it was his girlfriend showed up, found him, and she's the one that called. I mean, think about the direction that his life possibly could have saved his life. That could have been the one that changed his life around. Obviously, we don't know that, but the whole program is very specific. It's got to be a possession 7 charge. It can't be accompanied by another charge, especially a domestic. You're not supposed to be on probation or parole. Parole we can't change. Probation we have some leeway with. We did have a person that was on probation that we've been working with. Again, probation does a wonderful job. We have a particular male right now that he was on probation. He had overdosed again. And we said, look, we'll fix this. This is the reason why he's on probation. It's not because of something. He didn't commit robberies, burglaries. He's on probation for DWI because he got into an accident. And after a DRE went and tested him, he showed up with, product in him. So the bottom line is probation's like, yeah, we can fix this and get him better. Let's do it. And he's been doing, we're at 140 days clean now.
Wow.
Congrats.
And he's not even in the state. He's receiving help outside of the state. So they allowed him to leave to get the proper help under our discretion.
I'm seeing how that U.S. Marshal thing plays into finding some people, I guess.
Yeah.
I was
It
just
is,
thinking
yeah.
of that.
It is. I mean, you get to the point where, you do work every angle to find these people. A lot of our resources is, remember, a lot of these people don't have a head to rest. They burn their bridges at home. They have nobody left. How are we going to find them? It's the same thing we do to find a warrant suspect. So we're not disclosing that stuff.
Well, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
More with Deputy Favata after these messages.
you love someone feels so right, so warm and true. I need to know if you feel it too. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't you tell me if I'm coming on too strong. This heart of mine has been hurt before. This time I wanna be sure. I've been waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for a girl like you who love and will survive. I've been waiting for someone new to make me. Yeah, waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. You're so good. When we make love, it's understood. It's more than a touch or a word we say. Only in dreams can it be this way. When you love someone, yeah, I really love someone. I know it's right. From the moment I wake up till deep in the night, there's nowhere on earth I'd rather be than holding you tenderly. I've been waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for a girl like you who love and will survive. I've been waiting for someone new to make me feel alive. Yeah, waiting for a girl like you to come into my life. I've been waiting for you.
And we are back on 100.9 WXIR, Rising Recovery. We've got Deputy Michael Favata in studio with us today from the Opioid Task Force. A lot of fun talking to you. You're reminiscing on some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the days, I was young during that story. That was interesting times back then. So
Yes, it
we talked a little bit before the show started about some of the trends, the culture of recovery, and what some people at WXIR we've talked about before. How there's a difference between how things were done in the '80s with the crack epidemic, with a lot of minorities, compared to now, where it seemed like the difference is right that you get the victims, criminals. When the response of the city, how is it different from the sheriff's office?
I don't think it's really any different. You know, you still have officers and or deputies. I mean, that's the only difference between the two of us is, you know, it says officer deputy in front of our names. Okay. We have these imaginary lines that we have to stay in theory, you know, the city borders, this count, whatever, you know, but RPD needs help, we're there hands down, or vice versa, you know, whatever it is. if you look at the call, the sheer call volume of the RPD, those guys are nonstop. I mean, listen to a scanner. Just listen to what goes on in the city in a 24-hour period. These guys earn, these men and women, I should say, they earn every single penny they get. They're busy. And understand that in the entire sheriff's department, Sheriff Baxter was able to say, okay, how do we feel? And I'll get to your question. I'll answer that, but explain to make this make sense. So the sheriff had to figure out how do we form this task force without jeopardizing a shortage on the road, whether it be from a sergeant, a lieutenant, not create overtime to cost the public, because we have an obligation to say, look, we're going to provide services, we're going to do within our budget, and also make sure that we can still respond to the calls for service without taking some, because I mean, I was taken off the road to go and do this spot. Can you hear it okay? Okay. So you have just one sole person going out and trying to find people who have overdosed. Okay. You have one person who goes out and does the education during, basically it could be during school hours, or we do events at night. We have our mock overdose coming up on Thursday at the U of R. So that's at 6:30. I think it starts at 6:30. But RPD had a guy that was assigned to it. He came out with me. We did training. We went out. It was great. But he had so many other functions within his community service part, because their community service organization, or they're part of the over on Norton Street, 500 Norton Street. Those guys are beyond busy. I'm looking at a schedule, and it's like, again, here's their community service, which is supposed to be a little bit more laid back and more proactive community outreach, that type of thing. Sure. And they're getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. So for RPD to dedicate 1 or 2 people to this is almost near impossible. It's hard. But we have that agreement where, we go, I'm in the city. I start my day in the city. So when I look at the overdose list that comes to me, I'll look at the people who are in the city and say, all right, let me start there. RPD officers, without question, hey, I'm going somewhere that, maybe I don't want to go alone. They're right with me, hands down. They'll put themselves out and go. So that's there. RPD does, a lot of the things that never get reported is a lot of the good that they do. They do a ton of it. I mean, I've seen it. Some of these guys are my close friends. But to get back to it, I mean, the sheriff's office was fortunate enough to say, okay, we have that extra body. We can make this entire thing work. So to pull a sergeant, and then we have 3 guys assigned to our enforcement side, and then me. And then I know we're looking at a new program. We're going to have our CPOs helping as well with a new Narcan program that we're doing. It's called the Overdose Rescue Kit. Have Narcan, instructions on how to use it, and all the resources in there that the deputies now will be able to drop off at the houses of people who have overdosed.
Incredible. Awesome. That's great work.
Yeah.
So I think that story with you, and was it News 13 that he was on? It was with Jeremy Marconi's mother.
With Berkeley Breen, Channel 10.
That's the one,
Yeah.
Channel 10.
Yeah, Jeremy.
That touched my heart. I mean, this guy. So for anybody who doesn't know, I went to Penfield High School. Jeremy and I were in film study in English together, and I can't think of a time that he didn't break balls in class, but he was hilarious. It was a lot of fun. And then seeing his face pop up in that video, and doing that interview, I had no idea he was going through any of that at the time.
Yeah, Jeremy's awesome. We've become good friends. I've become close with his mother as well, Bernadette. She's an amazing woman. I mean, she stuck by her son every minute, every second of every day. I mean, she was there when he overdosed, the time that this whole thing transpired. And, she just never gave up on him. So when I went to the house, we sat there for probably an hour just trying to convince him to go. Mom came home, and then the rest is history. He did exactly as he was supposed to do. He was ready. It's the transition from wherever they're staying to that police car. Once they get in that police car, it's a different thing. It's a whole different feeling. And I've had one girl say to me, she goes, I actually feel safe right now. And here's, God only knows what's happened in her life prior to this moment. But you think about that is, here's a girl sitting there who finally just took a deep, I mean, I remember looking at her, like taking a deep breath, and her head was down. And when we got to treatment, it was just a different feeling for her, as she said. And that's it. Off she went. So yeah, Jeremy's a great story.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
What are you hearing from people who, substance abusers, when they tell you the reasons why, or maybe they talk to you or open up about why they got into it in the first place?
It's a disease.
Mhm.
You know, it's there's no I'm a cop, right? Not a doctor. I don't do anything with, medical. I mean, I learned CPR in the academy. That's about as far as it goes. I'll put a Band-Aid on you, but
That's an interesting
it's that's what they're treating it as, a disease. I mean, you have people say, I can't, some say, I don't even know why I tried. I just did it. Is it an impulse control disorder? Why do we do half the stuff we do? Why do we do stuff we did as kids? Why do we do the stuff we do as adults? We kind of like look back and say, well, that was stupid. It's like, why'd I do that? And whether it be, dumb things as we all did, is, going out and toilet paper in somebody's house at 12 years old, or to now going and making a stupid purchase that you shouldn't have done, and you as an adult and say, that was dumb. That's your equivalence to making a bad choice. But yeah, I mean, it's just everyone has a different story. And they're interesting, every one of them, because maybe that story will relate to somebody 6 months down the road that we're trying to get into treatment. Say, look, I work with somebody just like this. And maybe they don't go with me. And maybe I call that person, hey, remember 6 months ago, you said this to me. Hey, how about you come with me? Because I have somebody who's not listening and being a bonehead. Maybe you can get through to them. Sure. And I'll go get them. Just remembering what your resources are.
So how are you guys looking to expand within the next 5 years? Do you guys have a plan, outlook that far?
Yeah, we're a day by day operation. We basically try to continue to get the bodies in. Let's keep trying to make contact, get people into treatment the best we can, keep pushing the education. Hopefully it slows down the people that will try using this for the first time. I mean, I look at Patrick Burns from Huther Doyle. Patrick's awesome. I mean, that kid overdosed 44 times, died 22 times.
Wow.
It's an awesome story. And to have him stand up there and tell the story to kids, to me, every time I watch his video, every time I hear him talk, it still gives me goosebumps. I'm thinking, this kid died 22 times, and here he is right now telling everybody about what happened. And I can show you messages between him and I at 5:30 in the morning, because there's somebody that he knows that overdosed, that he's like, look, we got to get this person help. And that message just started at 5:30 in the morning. 9 o'clock, I was there with the mom and dad in this particular male. But it's because of what he did. Nothing that we did. He reached out and said, look, we got to do whatever. We got him. That guy left with me that day. We got him into treatment. And then Patrick picked him up and brought him out to his next stages. So you talk about the coordination that we have. And here's a person, think about everything he did. He was in prison. He did all sorts of, things that he can't change, can't go back and, you can regret, whatever. But he's making a difference now. And that's all we care about. So it's a great story what Patrick has.
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear about, because Huther Doyle puts out those videos online sometimes, and we share them. And I think Danny and I have been trying to figure out if there's anything we could do to upload those same kind of videos when we do our community service projects too.
Yeah, when you do a community service project, one of the, by far the most powerful videos that I show, and I've been meaning to reach out to whoever made this video, is called Stop the Spiral. Okay. On YouTube, type in Stop the Spiral, and it comes up Charlie. So when we do our we call them our mock overdose or overdose reenactment, we start off with the Stop the Spiral video, because this is every kid that we're going to talk to. Every kid in that audience that's watching this right now is that kid in that video, one way or the other. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds long, and it hits you. You won't find a dry eye in this audience. I mean, that's even kids, and so, and then we have a woman from Nicole. She plays Charlie's mom. She's a phenomenal actor. She works for Penfield High School, and she's been coming out and doing every single reenactment that we've done. She plays Charlie's mom, and she does an awesome job. And she said the same thing, hits her heart every time. Even though it's not her kid, it's a school actor. It's still, she has kids, she gets it.
It's tough, I think, because when you try to relate to kids about something like that, it seems easy to brush over, especially when there's no shock value. I mean, you think of all the movies and TV shows they have out now.
Yeah, look at the video games.
Oh.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
here we are, right? So you try to get through to a 16 to 18-year-old kid on a video like this, but when they start to look at the background, they start to look at, it starts off when this kid was maybe 2 or 3 years old and goes through his entire life into the substance abuse, and mom finding him not breathing and calling 911. That's that call that we've all heard on my end all too many times. We unfortunately had one of our deputies who was working, his sister overdosed and passed away. He was working when that call came in. I mean, you think of how, heartbreaking it is. One of the best guys you can imagine to work with. So you just never know whose family's in.
Sure.
So you try to get them all.
I hear over in Brighton High School now they're having teens between 13 to 16. They get involved with the program to do assessments on people in the school in their class who might be in danger of using drugs or having trauma.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Wouldn't surprise me. Brighton School District does a great job. I know that Fairport, they have their CPAC there. They do an awesome job of having not only students involved in this organization, that they have a meeting once a month on a Thursday morning or Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. But they have professionals throughout the community that attend this as well, along with the superintendent and the principal of the school. And they always have some new program coming out. They're always something they're trying, educating people. I mean, I met the Henderson family. They were the first ones to bring this to light. And I'll tell you, they call it the Red Cup. And I've remained in contact with Gary Henderson to this day, because his son passed away from an overdose. But he tells his story, and he has his son there with him, his younger son, and his wife, and they're just incredible people. Here's your family from Fairport. Their son was, athlete, well-liked, no trouble, and he calls it the Red Cup. He shows that red 16-ounce cup that we all see, and he says, I saw my son holding that cup more and more and more in his social media pictures. He said, I watched alcohol go to marijuana to getting a call that's saying your son's in the hospital on an overdose. He's like, who would have thought? He goes, so I remember bringing him home. His son said to me, my son said to me, are you disappointed in me? He says, no, never be disappointed. We just got to fix what this is. But when he tells a story about how when him and his wife came home from the store and something didn't feel right, he says, rushing down into the basement where his room was, where he would hang out. He says, and giving my son CPR while my wife's on the phone with 911 and realizing he's not coming back, to tell my son that I'm so proud of him and love him. So that's the hardest thing. That hits you. That makes you think of when people say that you're passionate about something. How bad do you want to stop another family from going through that? And I give the Hendersons all the credit in the world, because they can sit there and talk about that. I couldn't imagine. I have 4 kids. Couldn't imagine doing what they did. And then being able to go speak about it. You look at Rebecca Baker from SOARS.
That's right.
Rebecca does it every single time for me at these reenactments. It's amazing. So as I said, I'm going out to Ulster County probably within the next few months to train the sheriff's office. They came up here and wanted to see what we're doing. When they saw the resources that we have in Monroe County, it's second. Nobody has this. No, I mean, and I'm not bragging. I look to see what other counties are doing.
Flex a little bit.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, what's my job, right? What's Dayton, Ohio doing? What are they doing in Texas? What are they doing, in Denver with this? So, I mean,
is there anything that's been done nationally that you would like to see done here?
And that's the thing, is I constantly look and nobody has the answer. I mean, if the answer was there, we'd do it, hands down. We know that you look at what Annabella is going to be soon, having like a czar, a person to oversee this entire structure. It's something they've been talking about. He campaigned on that. And somebody said to me the other day, like, well, if this comes to light and it's successful, he's like, that could potentially put you out of a job. I said, you think I care? If it's working and people are getting help, I'll go back to the road. I'll be satisfied with
Never
that.
thought about that, yeah.
But it doesn't matter to us. The sheriff's office, at the end of the day, is we want to see people alive. We want to see families doing well. We want to see the harm reduction in the community. And that's the only thing we care about.
Now, I think a big thing for me to see somebody in law enforcement have the perspective is, are people coming around to it feeling like you're less of the enemy out there?
I think the message is getting out there. You know, it's the unfortunate part is we're in a society that is, loves drama. They love to
Big
point
time.
out somebody's, faults. Are we perfect? Far from it. I'm not justifying. There's bad eggs in every group. Do I sit there and say that a teacher is, every teacher is going to go after a young person? How many times you see a teacher that's had inappropriate contact with a student?
boy.
Do I sit there and say every single student's the same way? It's stupid to do that. Look at how many people we arrest across the board from all different walks of life and occupations. Nobody's perfect. But we look at law enforcement, it becomes to the point where you get tired of seeing the same person over and over again. Do we get frustrated by sending them to the hospital and having them released and doing the same thing again the next day? Absolutely. But you can't get mad at something if you don't have a solution. So that's what I get pissed off with people, and they say, well, the hospital's not doing this. Or, okay, well, what's your solution? Tell me. I want to know what it is. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you tell me how to fix it. Let us try to implement that. And if it works, let's go with it.
Yeah.
So when somebody sits there and twiddles their thumb, you know what? Try to find something to fix us with and come at us instead of just complaining.
Well, something I'm kind of curious about too, Mike, before we take a break here is, obviously you talk a lot about how great Monroe County does for fighting the drug epidemic, and I totally believe that. What about the counties, that are right next to us? Ontario County,
Erie County does fantastic. Erie County's got a great program there that we're looking to at some point kind of morph that into what we have here.
Yeah.
And we share information across the board.
That's what I was going to ask.
You look at Steve McNeil. You look up Sergeant Steve McNeil from Macedon. That's a guy you should have come in and talk. He has done so much in Wayne County and setting up something similar to we have by himself. He's passionate about it. He truly cares about what's going on in this community. You remember, not everybody has what we have here.
Right.
Livingston County Sheriff Doherty, awesome job. He's the one that gave us this hero program, this reenactment. He called and said, hey, look, come out here, take a look at this. You guys want to do it? We'll give you everything that you need. We're like, perfect. That's how law enforcement works. That's how Sheriff Baxter said. We're inclusive. We are a task force that brings everybody in. We don't keep secret. Okay, we do. We keep secrets on the enforcement side because we have to. But everything else, there's an open book. And we don't care what walk of life you are, if you're a hospital or you're a grassroots. We get just as much, if not more, out of the grassroots organizations as you do out of the hospitals. And they work together now. So you think about how awesome that is to have, that type of working relationship.
Definitely.
So you gotta take a break.
Gotta take a quick break, but I'll give a quick shout out to Hope Dealers too.
Yeah, we'll get into them too. That's another.
Be right back.
Yeah, Stephanie does an awesome job,
Words like violence break the silence, come crashing into my little world. Painful to me, it's right through me. Don't you understand? Oh, my little girl. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm. unspoken, to be broken, feelings unsafe, words are trivial, pleasures remain, so does the pain, words are meaningless and forgettable. Forever wanted, forever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary, they can only do harm. Forever wanted, forever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary, they can only do harm. Forever wanted, forever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary, they can only do harm.
And we're back at 100.9 WXIR, Rising Up Recovery, here with Deputy Michael Favata from the Opioid Task Force, and Tony Gigello and Danny Hefner. And so we talked a little bit about the Hope Dealers, and they were just featured in Democratic Chronicle.
Yep.
And it was kind of cool because I think of them like kind of the front lines for these recovery groups
They are.
that go out, and they're out there actually literally on the streets, boots on the ground, getting some work done. So,
Yeah, it's Stephanie and her crew are they're unique. They have a niche from being badass to caring. You got to have the happy medium. I mean, they're going into an area on their own that is not safe. They're picking up needles. They're picking up drug paraphernalia. They're going to these homes, which isn't safe, but they're doing it for a fantastic cause. You think about the harm reduction. I keep saying that word. Look at the harm reduction that group is doing for the people in that neighborhood. Think about the city workers, city of Rochester workers who may have to go and board up that house because somebody broke into it. Cutting all the high weeds down in these empty lots. What if they hit a needle with that weed whacker and ends up hitting them? Think about the kids that are going to go and play in that empty lot because, hey, let's go play soccer here, or let's go play baseball. Next thing you know, they fall on one of these needles or come in contact with one of these bags. Think about what Hope Dealers is doing. They're taking that element right away from the city, taking that away from somebody getting hurt, doing the work that nobody else is doing or even want to do.
Thank you to Jeremy Cooney too for going out there and actually spending 3 hours on the streets with everybody.
Did he?
Yeah. He's got a big heart for recovery.
Not surprising. It's Stephanie does. I remember I did an interview for her, and when you start to really think about everything she does and the whole team that she has there, handing out bags of clothes and food and survival gear for the elements. That's one of the things that she does. And it's volunteer.
I remember I pulled up, it was like 24 degrees out. You got the coat on, and I I did one of those things like, I forgot my gloves. And I ran back to the car and I'm seeing people, no coat, no gloves. I'm
Yep.
like, I felt guilty already.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not good.
But again, she's been, we wholeheartedly support what they do. It's obviously they ever need anything at all, we, help them out, without question. But she does more for us than we could ever do for her. So, kudos to them. They actually came out to the Penfield family night that they had 5 different rooms set up so people could go see in plain sight. Penfield did a great job with this. And then they had a room where parents could sign up and hear what, everything about opioids and addiction and what we're seeing in law enforcement. And Stephanie came in, she sat down and sat through the whole thing. And, it was the first time I really got to meet her. But, here she is driving in on her own time, 6:30 at night, whatever it was, 7 o'clock at night, and just mingling with parents. So she's, she does an awesome job. We're very proud that we have her.
She's got that good medium, like the passion, but she also has that shock value when they show stuff. And they have those videos every Sunday going to the homes.
Yeah. But again, you have a person who's walked the life, and there's a difference. People can relate to that. They're not going to listen to me. You think they're going to listen to me over her? Not a chance. But if she gets somebody and thinks that I can help, you bet she will call me.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do a good job.
I keep seeing this. I gotta go over this real quick. The fentanyl. I have so many questions about it, but I guess when they say that they have the little amount, they show like the rice next to it with comparison. When somebody has that amount, why is it being put in the drug so much? I guess I don't understand why it's put in there if it is so deadly.
It's to keep people addicted. People chase it.
Okay.
People battling addiction want that feeling, that high. A lot of them at this point, at stage that I have worked with, use it just to maintain, just to get up and function. They're not even getting high anymore. And the overall cost, it's a way to make money. So you look at what a brick of fentanyl costs compared to a brick of heroin, and this isn't pharmaceutical grade fentanyl. This isn't, stuff that they're making in a nice control. God only knows where it's coming from. Whether it be China, Mexico, who knows? We're getting it from all sorts of different places. At the end of the day, they can mix it. So you can get a deck and say the first 3 bags were, 50-50. Maybe the next bag was pure fentanyl. Maybe the other one was pure heroin. You never know. It's like Russian roulette. But when we test these bags, it's all different because this is the guy sitting at his kitchen table, mixing it, putting it in bags and sending it out.
Jesus.
So it's, there's no room for it. You look at what happened in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio had over 6,000 overdoses with over 600 dead. And they got hit one of the hardest in the nation back in 2000, I believe it was 17 into 18. But it just shows that the people dealing with drugs can control it because they legitimately killed off their business. So they were able to change that. So it's,
I think it's also interesting with you talking about how you guys went to Staten Island, but also New York City. The Attorney General now is going after some of these big time execs with the opioid the scandals.
Yeah, that was right here in the town of Gates where they have. I'm drawing a blank on it, but it was last year.
So I threw it out there. Hoping you remember.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but again, you had all of our grassroots organizations right there, down there, standing there, and it was billions and billions of dollars that this company's getting sued for. But it's again, nobody does it alone, hands down. Just like in recovery, right? Nobody recovers without some type of help. But one of the things we talk about, Jeremy, everybody says, "Oh, you help." No. Jeremy saved himself. All of you was that tool to get him to where he needed to be. I wasn't sitting there telling him he had to do X, Y, Z. He had to make that choice. Think about it, right? Nobody's getting forced to do anything. So you got it. It's just the power of people is amazing. If you want it, they'll get it. So
it's nice. I think also that Recovery Fitness was over with Todd Baxter the other day too.
Let me tell you about Recovery Fitness. Jan Every's great. John is evil. John Westfall put me through. John put me through his Monday night boxing, kickbox, cardio thing.
Oh yeah.
And I brought my son with me, the 6-year-old. And John is like, nice, well-spoken, kind. You get him in there, it's a different
The
John.
beast.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of John in workouts.
So listen here. He brought me to that thing once, so I never went back.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
I have a shirt that's still drying out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there, and then we just start working out at JCC.
Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It
club.
is.
Wow.
But again, the people at Recovery, there's a lot to do behind the scenes. You know, especially Johnny actually came out with me quite a few times when we first started this. Yeah, John jumped in the front seat, and it was amazing because here's a person who knows people. He'll look at somebody and say, "Yeah, I know, I remember him, I know him," and he'd pick up the phone and call somebody else saying, "Hey, I'm looking for so and so. Where are they?" I mean, that right there is why we do what we do, because they're tied up with these peers, because they know the people. They've either worked with them in the past. Some of the people I've worked with say, "Yeah, I remember I used to use with that person. I may know somebody. Oh, let's get him on the horn. Come on, chop chop. Where are we going? You know, let's get it to work." So, yeah, good times.
It's funny because I've been doing this since almost a year now with Tony for Rising Up Recovery.
Mhm.
And I think some people, there's a stigma. There's like this idea that it's all little dark cloud stuff. There's a lot of compassion. There's a lot of happiness with the recovery networking.
I sat with John at a house in Henrietta, and literally John and I sat there for well over an hour. I didn't say a word, didn't have to. And John just literally begging this person to come with us, do whatever he has to take, just because of the amount of overdoses this person's had. You know, and seeing mom sitting in the other room, just, you know, twiddling her thumbs, just like, you know, praying, you know what she's thinking, like, please go with them. You know, he didn't go. But John asked me, I can't tell you how many times, "Hey, whatever happened with so-and-so, did you ever hear from him?" You know, he gets it, you know, so, but he is evil. Jim.
I agree.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We all have that side.
So one of the things we like to ask our guests when they come on is if this, to everyone who's listening right now, someone who might be suffering from addiction, what would you like to say to them?
You know, it's reach out to us. Reach out to any of these organizations. We're a phone call, an email away. 911. Call 911. Hey, I want to speak to Deputy Favata. They'll call me. You know, I'll meet you. You want to meet somewhere and talk. You don't want to be at that house because of maybe that's where you get your product from. Maybe that's where the only place you can rest your head right now. And last thing you want to do is bring attention there.
Sure.
Pick a donut shop, right? No one ever be suspicious. You mean a cop at Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons. Go sit there with us. Happy to do it. I'll buy you coffee. Just make that call, because if it's not you and if it's somebody else, blow them in. Who cares? They'll get over it. That's what I tell the kids in high school. I go, stop with this, you know, no stitching, or you don't want to tell, you don't want to risk getting in trouble. So what? When you realize you could have just saved that person's life, if you know they're going down a bad road, speak up. Let us fix it. I'll fix that. You just, you know, you did the right thing. So, yeah, that's really all I have.
Appreciate that. And then this Thursday, you guys, U of R?
Correct. U of R. It's at off East River Road, and we're doing the overdose reenactment there. So we got Rebecca Baker speaking, Michael Mendoza, Patrick Burns, and Ironically Police is helping out as well, along with all the fire departments across the county.
Beautiful.
So that's another thing, is that you can't beat the relationships we have. Like Captain Brian Gibo from Greece, and you know, Captain Mark Thomas, all these guys. I mean, they put their heart into it when we started this, and they've been with me ever since. So
Beautiful.
been good.
Michael Favata, Deputy Opioid Task Force. I want to thank you for joining us today. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Well, guys, until next Monday, 100.9 WXIR.
Nah, good times, man. It's
More and more ways. That super world. Nobody but you and me. We got it together, baby. everything. In you, I found so many things. A love so new, only you could bring. Can't you see it, you? You make me feel this way. You're like a fresh morning dew on a brand new day. I see so many ways that I can love you till the day I die. You're my reality. Yet I'm lost in a dream. You're the first, the last, and everything.